Okay, baby, sit down, lock the door, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, because the receipts I'm about to lay on this table will rearrange the furniture in your brain. We are not gathered here today to gossip about Kim Kardashian's lip kit or her latest Met Gala corset. No, we are here because, depending on which version of this story you believe, the woman selling you $90 nude shapewear may also be sitting on a logistics empire that just got caught moving cartel weight through the same trucks that deliver your 2-day shipping. Let me say that again, slower, for the people in the cheap seats. A Polish lorry driver named Cartel rolled off a ferry from the Netherlands into the UK port of Harwich with 28 pallets of legitimate Skims underwear stacked behind him like a perfectly innocent wall of beige. Border Force pulled him aside, ran the X-ray, and inside the skin of the trailer's rear doors they pulled out 90 kilos of pure cocaine. $9 million. Hidden in a custom-welded compartment that did not get built at a gas station with a hand drill. And somehow, against every law of physics and probability, the world's most famous shapewear empire walked away from the scene of the crime without a single fingerprint on the bag. You can stop scrolling. You can put the chips down. This is the one. Because the math, baby, the math is not mattering. Now, before we go full forensic on this, I want to take you back. Way back. Because the part everybody is conveniently forgetting in this whole Skims' scandal is that Kim Kardashian, with her own mouth, on her own show, told the entire planet that she has a long, intimate, well-documented friendship with a chemical that ruins lives. She sat there laughing about it. 6 Flags, she said. Got married on ecstasy, she said. Made the tape on ecstasy, she said. Her jaw was shaking the whole time, she said. Everybody knows it, she said. Quote unquote. I am not paraphrasing. I am not embellishing. This is a woman who built her billion-dollar brand on the back of a video she now openly admits she filmed while high out of her mind, and we as a culture just laughed and bought more lip gloss. Fine. Cool. Different decade, different vibes. But you absolutely cannot, sit in a confessional booth telling Khloe that ecstasy used to be your move, and then turn around 2 decades later and act personally offended that the internet is side-eyeing you the second a truckload of your branded panties shows up holding $9 million. In Cartel candy. The receipts are calling from inside the house, Kimberly. And here is the angle nobody on YouTube is touching, because they are all too busy chasing the Beyoncé reaction shot. Forget Beyoncé for 1 second. Forget Ray J for 1 second. Forget the Polish driver for 1 second. The real story, the story sitting in plain sight that every other creator missed, is hiding inside Kim Kardashian's own filing cabinet. Because while everybody is yelling about RICO and Diddy and Kris Jenner, almost nobody has stopped to ask the question that should be tattooed on the front of this entire scandal. Why exactly has Kim been studying law? Like with her whole chest? For years. With tutors. With a baby bar to retake. With the specific area of focus being criminal justice. A woman who, by her own admission on national television, has done hard drugs, has been on hard drugs while making the very content that minted her empire, suddenly decides her life mission is to understand the inside of a criminal court. You can spin that as redemption. You can spin that as advocacy. But you cannot tell me, after a truckload of her merchandise just got pulled apart in a British port hiding nearly $10 million of pure white, that her choice of career pivot is a coincidence. Pick a struggle. Pick a story. Because both of these things being true at the same time is what they call, in legal terms, a pattern. And let me get even pettier for a second, because the pettier we get, the closer we get to the truth. Think about who, inside that family, has historically been the one obsessed with optics. Not Kourtney, who could not care less. Not Kendall, who is busy being a horse girl. Not Kylie, who is busy being a vending machine. Kim. Kim is the architect. Kim is the one who personally signs off on the press releases. Kim is the one who, allegedly, edits the captions before they go up. So the idea that a global shipment moving through one of the most sensitive border crossings in Europe was somehow exempt from her control, that this one specific truck, on this one specific day, slipped through the gaps of an otherwise hyper-monitored corporate machine, is the kind of story you tell a 5-year-old at bedtime. Not the kind of story you sell to anybody with a working frontal lobe. Now let me walk you through what actually happened that morning at Harwich, because the official version of events is the funniest piece of fiction I have read all year, and I read for a living, baby. According to the UK's National Crime Agency, this driver, this random man, this little independent contractor named Cartel, was just out here minding his Polish business behind the wheel of a truck full of legitimate boy short underwear. He rolls off the ferry from the Netherlands. the Netherlands, which, as anybody with a functioning Wikipedia tab knows, is exactly the country that European cartels use as the primary breakdown port for South American product. Coincidence number 1. File it away. He pulls into Harwich. Border Force decides on a vibe to give him an X-ray. The vibe was apparently correct because inside the doors of his trailer, welded into the steel skin like organs inside a body, were 90 kilos of pressed cocaine sitting there in custom-molded hides. We are not talking about a duffel bag tossed under a pallet. We are not talking about a kilo wrapped in a hoodie. We are talking about a sophisticated, professionally fabricated, machine-tooled compartment. The kind of work that takes hours, a welder, a fitter, and a workshop. The kind of work that you do not perform behind a Shell station in a 16-minute window while you pretend to use the bathroom. But that is the official story. That is what the courts accepted. That is what cleared Skims and Kim of any wrongdoing inside of 48 hours, which by itself, should make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. They want you to believe that this man, who is bearing the entire personal risk of moving nearly $10 million in product across an international border, accepted the equivalent of $5,000 in cash to detour for 16 minutes and let total strangers permanently modify the structural skin of his trailer. $5,000. To go to prison for 13 and a half years. That is not a business deal. That is a suicide pact written in crayon. Nobody, and I mean nobody, in the actual underworld is signing that paperwork. Not a junkie. Not a desperate dad. Not a first-time mule. The risk-to-reward ratio is laughed out of every single trap house in the Western Hemisphere. The number does not work. The story does not work. And when the story does not work, somebody somewhere has rewritten it. Let us do the napkin math together, because I love a little arithmetic in the morning. $9 million in product. $5,000 in payout. That is a payment of 0.055% of the value of the cargo. Half of 1/10%. To put that in human terms, if you handed your friend a bag containing $9,000 and asked them to walk it across town, you would not pay them $50. You would pay them at least a couple hundred, just to keep them honest. And that is for a walk across town. Not a 13-year prison sentence. The number is so insulting it is functionally a confession. Either the driver was an absolute idiot of generational proportions, or the $5,000 was a public-facing number designed to make the brand look like the victim of a desperate man's bad math. Pick one. I know which one I am picking. Then we get to the burner. Because of course there is a burner. There is always a burner. Police searched the cab and found a phone whose only job, its only programmed purpose in this universe, was to nuke itself 18 hours after activation. Self-wiping. Encrypted. Disposable. That is not the device of a man who took a wrong turn. That is the device of a man who was given a tool by an organization that knows exactly what it is doing, by an organization that has done this before, by an organization that probably has a guy whose entire job is handing out these phones the way Oprah hands out cars. You get a burner. You get a burner. Everybody gets a burner. This is not a one-off bad decision. This is infrastructure. This is a supply chain. And supply chains do not bolt themselves to a single random truck. Supply chains run on routes. Supply chains run on cover stories. And the cover story this particular chain happened to be running on was a global luxury shape where brand worth somewhere north of $4 billion. Now pause with me. Take a breath. Pour yourself a glass of something cold, because here is where it goes from suspicious to suspicious with receipts. Why a fashion brand? Why Skims specifically? Why not some no-name importer? Because the answer to that question is the entire business model of modern international smuggling, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Customs officials at every major port on Earth operate on a tiered inspection system. Brand new importer with weird paperwork? They tear your truck apart down to the rivets. Established Fortune 500 brand with flawless documentation, household name recognition, private equity backing, and a glossy press kit? You go through the green lane. You wave. You smile. You keep moving. Nobody is x-raying Nike. Nobody is gutting a Tesco truck. Nobody is unscrewing the door panels on a Scheme shipment going to a Selfridges flagship. The brand is the camouflage. The brand is the visa. The brand is the badge that says do not look here. And if you were a syndicate looking for the cleanest pipe through Europe, you would not pick the sketchy guy in a beat-up van. You would pick the most photographed woman in the world. Are you with me yet? Are you starting to feel the cold little prickle on your arms? Because we have not even gotten to the influencer seeding part. Think about how Skims actually moves product on the consumer end. Every single week, That brand ships thousands, literal thousands, of unmonitored, rush-fulfilled, anonymous-looking little boxes directly to the doorsteps of micro-influencers, B-list celebrities, lifestyle TikTokers, content creator collectives, and pop-up reviewer accounts across the United States and Europe. Random residential addresses, apartment buildings, P.O. boxes, UPS stores. The kind of chaotic, decentralized last-mile distribution that, to a customs agent on a long Tuesday, looks like the normal background noise of internet fame. But to a sophisticated criminal organization, that web of nameless little brown boxes is the most beautiful piece of laundering architecture ever invented. You do not need a warehouse. You do not need a front. You do not need a fake import-export shell. You have the United States Postal Service, FedEx, DHL, and a million Instagram babies all unknowingly part of a distribution lattice that nobody on Earth has the bandwidth to inspect package by package. And even if they did, even if some sweaty agent did pull a parcel off a belt and pop the seal, the cartel can simply afford to pay him more than his pension. That is how this works. This is not a movie. This is a math equation, and the math is gorgeous on their side. And let me make this even more uncomfortable for the loyalists in the comments who are already typing furiously about how I am being unfair. The European leg of the Skims supply chain runs through manufacturing hubs in Italy, in Portugal, in Turkey, with consolidation points in the Netherlands and Belgium before product is fanned out into the United Kingdom and Scandinavian markets. Those are not random map pins. Those are, almost note for note, the same waypoints that European narcotics investigators have been flagging as preferred cocaine corridors for the better part of a decade. Antwerp, Rotterdam, now Harwich. The overlap is not subtle. The overlap is not poetic. The overlap is a Venn diagram that is basically one big circle with the words "follow the money" written across the middle. And when you are a brand whose footprint just happens to be perfectly draped over the existing nervous system of the European drug trade, you do not get to plead total ignorance with a straight face. You at least have to acknowledge that the geography is suspicious. Skims has not acknowledged anything. Skims has only denied. Loudly. Quickly. Pre-rehearsed. But Kim's lawyers want us to believe the brand is shocked. Shocked. Shocked, I tell you. They put out a statement faster than you can spell 90 kilos. The statement, in case you missed it, was, quote, "Skims is aware of the recent news involving a shipment with our products." We want to be absolutely clear. Skims had no knowledge whatsoever about this criminal activity. We had no connection to the smuggling operation, the driver, or the truck. End quote. Cute. Clean. Lawyer to a polish you could shave in. And conveniently, every ounce of blame in that statement gets dumped on the Polish driver, a man who, again, accepted 13.5 years of his life for $5,000, which I personally do not believe, and neither should you. But it sure is convenient that he was sitting right there, hands up, ready to take the entire weight of the operation, while the brand walked away in fresh white sneakers. The speed of that statement is the tell. Innocent people, baby, do not draft press releases that polished in under 24 hours. Innocent people are confused. Innocent people ask questions. Innocent people do not arrive at the press conference already holding the script. And then, on cue, like clockwork, like a Greek chorus that has been waiting in the wings for 2 decades, Ray J wakes up. Because of course Ray J wakes up. The man has been screaming about this family on every microphone he can find for the better part of 20 years, and the internet has spent that entire time treating him like an embarrassing uncle nobody invites to Thanksgiving. But every once in a while, an embarrassing uncle calls a thing, and the thing turns out to be real. Ray J, sitting in front of millions of viewers on a TMZ documentary about Sean Combs, then doubling down on a live stream that lit X on fire, said the words federal RICO. He said the case would be worse than Diddy. He said he was actively cooperating with prosecutors. He named names. He named Kim. He named Chris. He did not stutter. He did not blink. He did not soften. And in retaliation, Kim and Chris's legal team filed a defamation suit calling the claims blatantly false, insisting no federal investigation exists, no agency has opened racketeering proceedings, no credible evidence supports any of it. To which Ray J responded with a counterclaim alleging Kim and Chris orchestrated the entire Vivid tape deal back in 2007 and have been lying about the details for almost 20 years. The court calendars are filling up. The depositions are coming. And somewhere in a glass office on Wilshire, an associate is being told to cancel her weekend. And let us be real about Ray J for one honest, uncomfortable second. The internet has been dragging this man for so long it forgot why it started. Yes, he is messy. Yes, his deliveries are unhinged. Yes, he has cried on the Breakfast Club so many times he should be paid in tissues. But messy does not equal wrong. Messy, in fact, is what whistleblowers usually look like because the polished ones get bought out before they ever reach a microphone. Ray J has nothing left to lose, no brand to protect, no equity sponsors to disappoint, no Vogue covers to chase. The only thing a man like that has is the chip on his shoulder, and right now that chip is glowing radioactive. So when he sits in front of cameras and says he is actively cooperating with federal prosecutors, you can roll your eyes if you want, but you should at least write it down. Because if even 10% of what he is saying lands in a courtroom, the Kardashian family's next decade looks very different from their last one. Now multiply all of that by the Beyoncé factor. Because girl, the Bayhive does not move unless the queen herself authorizes flight. And sources close to Beyoncé, which in tabloid language usually means the second cousin of someone who once styled her wig, are saying that Beyoncé feels vindicated. That she is treating the Skims situation like karma finally remembering the address. That the Cold War between her camp and the Kardashian camp, the one that started back when Jay-Z and Kanye were stitching together Watch the Throne and Kim was elbowing her way into the billionaire couple group photo, is officially over because the other side just lost. Whether Beyoncé actually said those words or whether somebody simply wished she did, the optics are devastating. When the most powerful woman in pop culture is allegedly laughing at you from her living room, you have lost the room. The room has been lost. The room is gone. Pack the room up. And let me say one more thing about Beyoncé, because I am nothing if not fair. People online are clowning her for clowning Kim, pointing out that the legal weather around Jay-Z is not exactly sunshine either, and that maybe she should mind her own house before she side-eyes somebody else's. Honestly, valid. Glass houses are glass for a reason. But the Skims thing is not about Beyoncé. The Skims thing is about a multi-billion-dollar empire that supposedly got hijacked on a random Tuesday by a random truck driver taking a random 16-minute detour, while the most controlling, hyper-managed, lawyer-stacked, brand-paranoid family in modern American media just happened not to notice. That is not a hijacking. That is a heist with too many witnesses, and the witnesses are starting to talk. And here is the part that should genuinely keep you up tonight if you have any kind of imagination at all. If the Harwich truck was, in fact, the first one to get caught, then by basic statistical probability, it was not the first one to make the run. Smugglers do not nail a route on attempt number 1. They beta test it. They send dummy loads. They send half loads. They send full loads. They send 3 full loads back-to-back to verify the corridor is hot, that the customs schedule is predictable, that the inspection vibes are sleepy, that the paperwork holds up under spot checks. Which means, mathematically, somewhere between 2 and 20 previous trucks, branded with the same logo, traveled the same route without a hand laid on them. Which means, by extension, a quantity of product that I cannot publicly speculate on, but you can absolutely do in your head is already out there, already cut, already sold, already gone. The truck border force caught is not the story. The truck border force caught is the only chapter of the story we are allowed to read. So, let me leave you with the part that, if you only remember one thing from this video, you remember this. Empires that big do not get caught by accident. Trucks like that do not get pulled by coincidence. Burner phones programmed to nuke themselves do not appear by magic. Custom-welded compartments do not get built in a parking lot. Drivers do not eat 13 years in a British prison for $5,000 unless their families are taken care of somewhere else. And brands worth $4 billion do not get cleared in 48 hours unless somebody, somewhere, made a phone call that you and I will never hear about. Maybe Kim is innocent. Maybe she really is the wide-eyed mogul who built a shapewear kingdom and got blindsided by a single bad apple in her European logistics chain. Maybe the law degree is just a passion project and the ecstasy confessions are ancient history and the Ray J accusations are just the bitter ramblings of a man who never recovered from being dropped 20 years ago. Maybe. I am not your judge. I am not your jury. I am just the girl with the receipts and the calculator and a long memory. But if you ask me, off the record, fully in my chest, with my whole heart, the math is not matting. The story is not storying. And the next 12 months in this woman's life are about to be louder than anything she has ever lived through. Because once a federal pen hits a federal page, this stops being a meme and starts being a movie, and I do not think the family is ready for the third act. So tell me down in the comments, because I genuinely want to know. Do you think Kim is pushing bricks? Do you think she is genuinely clueless? Or do you think the truth is sitting somewhere in that ugly little gray zone where billionaires usually live? Drop your verdict. Tag the friend who has been calling this since 2007. And if you made it this far, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button because the next chapter of this story is already being written, and I promise you, baby, I will be the first one back here with the receipts when it drops.